Guys, it's Mo with a breakdown of day 3 in the Linda Stermer, Michigan versus Linda Stermer retrial. We didn't get through a lot of witnesses today, mainly because the defense was, as always, insufferable, asking pedantic, ridiculous questions, trying to get narratives in. Again, being zealous, but douche level at least 1,000 today. So we continue with James Shinsky. Now, we sort of just had gotten him in on day 2, and then there was the transcript, which is really why he was called as a witness. He was called as a witness to, get this transcript in so it wouldn't be hearsay. He was a detective, or not a detective, an investigator for the insurance company. So basically, all he did was get sort of general background. He did talk to neighbors, police on site, and then he spent 2 days interviewing Linda. So the crime happened on the 7th, and then he was there on the 9th and 11th talking to Linda. Kind of within normal scope that you would do this in a car. Of course, that was a big bugbear for the defense that poor Linda, homeless Linda, had to, be put on and do an interview in a car, and how dare he. So he basically got a lot of the, interview in through the transcript. He read the transcript. There were things redacted in the transcript, such as maybe random people stopping by. This is rural America, so your mom and them are going to come by and, chit chat, maybe, do a little looky loo. We're not, we're not happy for your suffering, but we would like to get a look at it for, science. Anywho, that's what happened there. So, he kind of talked about his just the, you know, interview. And then when the defense came up, they wanted to start talking about his report. Now, the witness was not offered as an expert witness. He was mainly just there, like what they do in, the laying foundation or foundational witnesses. You usually have like the baby, lab tech who just looks at the things, sorts them, and makes sure they're the right things. And they have to testify just so you know that it's in the chain of custody. Well, basically, all they wanted was Linda's initial interview, what she had said initially. Now, this kind of goes on for on and on. Basically, the defense trying to see how much they can, get this or this witness to kind of lean into expert territory without getting there. So the state was kind of rightly pissed that they were trying to do these shenanigans. Now, that being said, after I think getting almost all the way to the lunch break with just one witness, we finally get done with him. The jury had several questions, but it was a bit muddled because, again, the defense really tried to stray into that, expert territory where the state wasn't going and hadn't even offered in his report. So that's kind of where that went. Then we had Don Galouz. Now, he was a state trooper lieutenant at the time of the crime, and he did the sort of CAD laser measurements of the crime scene, so he was called out. Now, the state basically had him go through, the schematics and everything that he had, and, explained, how the measurements were done, that he was certified in the apparatus to shoot the lasers and, do all that thing. Now, the defense made a big stink about the fact that he only did a measurement from where Todd Sturmer's body was purported to be at the time of the initial van hit. Now, again, none of the deputies were on the scene at that time, and Todd Sturmer was moved, to get away from that giant propane or furnace oil sort of tank. So it's unclear as to why they sort of went on a tangent with this man. I get what they're trying to say is that no one knows the exact sort of, layout of this, particular crime scene. But it does seem like a bit of a reach that, they were mad at him that he didn't measure, where the land boat with the body was, he didn't, take measurements of where Linda said she was going. Now, I will tell you, the more that comes out with this van pathway, what she was doing, how this man got run over by a van, it is looking more and more cray cray. Now, the state hasn't convinced me of anything because we really have gone at a snail's pace with the defense asking pedantic, pointless, and belabored questions. And I do mean belabored because the defense had, slow McShatner doing the first part of this, of James Sminsky or Shinsky, and that's why it took forever, I think. So that's basically what he did, and the defense finally got told, hey, wrap it up, we're doing this. And he takes off. So then we have David Hayhurst, and he was part of the crime scene response team. So he was the one that he and his team solely looked at the van. So they looked at the van, they took pictures and samples of the blood or, possible blood that was on the car, on the bumper, so like the plastic bumper, and parts of the undercarriage. Now, I will say at this point, I think that the state made a very classy move because I was watching my reaction and then the reaction in chat as we were watching, the spare tire and all the bits and pieces of the undercarriage of the van that had Todd's, blood or DNA on him. And I will say that was probably, and excuse the pun, more impactful than them showing, grotesque and, traumatizing autopsy photos. I mean, to my memory, and I'll have to go back and double check, the state did not show any autopsy photos because they usually will have to ask to publish and, that kind of thing. And they didn't do that at this time. So I will say that the pictures, the photos of, Todd Stermer's potentially blood, was quite impactful, at least on me. So I don't know if everyone else would feel the same way, but definitely for me, it was fairly impactful. Now, that being said, the defense, kind of went on the chain of custody and they did question him. And I think that David Hayhurst showed, really good discernment. He, kind of told the jury, hey, well, I have several potential or ways to test for blood. Obviously, I wouldn't use the test that would, test for iron because this is under a car and it's going to be just full of iron. So, that's the kind of thing that I thought was really appreciated and showed his kind of wealth of knowledge so the jury could be trustworthy or feel that he, was a trustworthy sort of person to get these tests. Now, he didn't do the DNA, but he did the, presumptive test for human blood and then, another test to make sure it was, or the presumptive test for blood and then to make sure that it was human blood and then set everything up to go to the DNA scientist. Now we get then Anne Hunt, who is the DNA scientist. And she just goes on to say that she did everything, she documented the lab numbers and she had, a sample card or a known DNA sample from Todd Stermer, and she ran the samples that she was given to check against that known, sample, and all the samples that she was given to test under the car matched Todd Stermer. Now, there were 4 samples. She only tested 2 of them. There might be more in storage that they might need, in case she got a retrial. Now, that being said, there was one more witness that started on day 3, but we really did not get very far into his testimony, and that is Troy Ernst. He was part of the trace evidence team. Now, given that he was talking about trace evidence involving, also possible arson, that kind of thing, I do believe this is where we're going to get to the clothing and, if Linda had accelerant on there. And then I think this will be a battle of the lawyers because, I do remember vaguely in the defense's opening that they are going to say that their independent lab tested the clothing and didn't find one scintilla of accelerant on her clothing. And I think that this is going to be where you start to see the dueling narratives really come out. And that's saying something considering how adversarial, how smarmy, how brother, sister, siblings fighting on a long car ride these two sides have been. I will say that it seems to be more from the men. Now, I don't notice the female lawyer, whining as much, but I do notice the men sulking and whining from both the state and the defense. Now, I would be remiss to say that Linda has a new hairdo. It sounds like she was listening to my thoughts and got her some purple shampoo, some toner, got all the dead ends, the frizz cut off. Now, I will say I would have added more layers. It's very heavy at the bottom, but maybe that's the look she likes. We're just happy that she got some deep conditioner because everyone needs deep conditioner in their lives. I hope that was a good breakdown of what was going on today yesterday in day three. Be on the lookout for, our method actor, non showing up witness to possibly be on the stand today, or at least, still on remittance in the prison, or I'm sorry, the jail, because she decided to ignore her subpoena because, and I quote, she has stuff going on, y'all. Like her life is hard. All right, we are just confused. Anywho, so I hope your not life isn't going that hard. Please like, subscribe, share, do all of the YouTube things. I hope that this breakdown has been informative. If you don't have the time to do the entire trial sit, I hope that these are a source of information and snark on the run for you guys, and I hope to continue doing them. Thank you so much, and remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but carry a sassy mouth and a can of bitch fire because kindness no longer equals doormats, my lovelies. Bye, you guys.